Okay. All
Hello.
right.
Here we go. Lesson 31. I am not the victim of the world I see.
Mm.
Um,
Do you think he's, do you, that's a big statement. I'm not the victim of the world I see.
are you sure?
Um, I
Where?
remember reading this in
Yeah.
the early days and going, yeah, that's an interesting concept.
Mhm,
And I can see how there's some truth in it.
mhm.
But I realize looking back now, I see that I totally compartmentalized that in in
Yeah,
my life,
right.
right?
Well, your mind has to make some sense out of it. If you told somebody off the street today, you're not a victim of the world you see, they would turn around and say, have you not heard of social distancing and mask wearing and the pandemic and vaccination, either pro or con, and politics, and I lost my job and they won't let me work and I can't see my family and I can't see my ailing grandfather. You know what? I am the victim of the world that I see. I feel very oppressed by this world.
Yeah,
And I'm a little offended at this idea. Okay, just say
that's exactly how I felt when I first read.
it.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
So
All
it
right.
took me quite some time
This,
to open my mind uh, to uh, take in that this teaching is is across the board for everything. Mm.
so we ask for open-mindedness as we go into this. Okay.
Yeah, we don't need to agree with it even
No, or
yet.
understand it apparently. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I am not the victim of the world I see. Today's idea is the introduction to your declaration of release. Again, the idea should be applied to both the world you see without and the world you see within. In applying the idea, we will use a form of practice that will be used more and more with changes to be indicated. Generally speaking, the form includes two aspects, one in which you apply the idea on a more sustained basis, and the other consisting of frequent applications of the idea throughout the day. Okay, must be an important one.
Mm.
Two longer periods of practice with the idea for today are needed, one in the morning and one at night. 3 to 5 minutes for each of them is recommended. During that time, look about you slowly while repeating the idea 2 or 3 times. Then close your eyes and apply the same idea to your inner world. You will escape from both together. Ha ha ha, here we go. For the inner is the cause of the outer.
Ooh wee. You want to
I'm going to
flesh
repeat.
that out a bit there?
You will escape from both together, for the inner is the cause of the outer. Yeah, boy, we could
Holy moly.
say it's not so. I need to be victimized. Oh boy, okay. Oh gosh, there's so much to say on this, but is it too soon? That's what I'm asking.
Well, um, hmm.
Well, let's
Can we
just
just
don't.
come in gently?
Yeah. I mean, remember the idea for the separation to have another way to see ourselves gave rise to the split mind where we agreed with the brother to experience a whole other realm, a whole other world where we are limited, we're bodies, where we have an independent will. And again, everything that we're seeing and placing in this gap diagram it's in honor of our first choice, our decision to experience what it would be like to be separate from our creator. So that first decision, choice, desire gave rise to all of this. So can we really say at any time that I, the mythical me, is a victim of everything else that we've put in here to keep this fantasy and illusion going? mind first, and then it created this in response to it. So when he says your inner is the result of your, the inner is the cause of the outer. The inner being the mind is the cause of everything else in the gap.
So what you're saying then is all form, no matter where I perceive it, all the form, all of the situations I find myself in, they all come from my decision in the mind. Is that right?
It's all projection from the mind. Yes. Yes. So the wish to separate first, and then all of its projections, starting with mythical me and all the layers we added on top of it to keep this mythical me running in the dream and solving all kinds of problems and having, you know, good days and bad days. So
this
that's
brings,
big.
yeah. So this brings in something for me and a memory too. And which is, and this helped me, was all of that in the center panel all came as a unconscious desire to prove that I was separate from God. Right? Okay.
Well, it's a conscious first decision, and then everything after that is unconscious, right?
All right. So where we're at now with the lessons is we're joining with Holy Spirit in asking him to bring that unconscious desire for separation, which is the unconscious desire for pain, conflict, relationship conflict, suffering, disease, and death, and scarcity, right, in the dream. We're asking Holy Spirit to raise that unconscious decision, which has been hidden in darkness for so long, and bring it up, out into the open, into the light.
Yes.
Consciously. Okay. Because we're not, so now we have to be conscious of the original cause.
Right.
Of all the self-sabotage that happens. Because, you know, every time, and I found this very difficult at first to swallow, is that every time I felt I was being judged, being attacked by others, I would feel I was justified in defending and anger and God knows what else. It was a bitter pill at first to swallow, to realize that, wait a minute, they're showing me my own unconscious self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I mean,
we're diving off the deep end here, guys, but yes.
I know, sorry, but I mean,
no, it's okay.
It might be too early to bring this in, but
no.
Oh my God, because I have to say this and bring this up now, is that I had a life, what seemed like a lifetime, of people judging me and shunning me. And I tried to figure out what the hell, you know, what I tried everything. I bent over backwards. I even invented a self that could meet the needs of what I thought everyone else, right?
Well, I can assure you, you're the only one that's ever done that, sis. So you probably
it doesn't work, guys. It just doesn't work, right? So I was a classic people pleaser.
Yeah, lots
right?
of those. Yeah.
Okay.
Most women.
Right, but still, you know, it didn't matter what I did. I was damned if I did and damned if I didn't.
Yeah.
And so to now realize that what was happening, that was my own inner self-abandonment.
Yeah. Yeah, that takes us back to those first lessons again about the fear and the guilt that we experience as a result of the wish to separate. And that guilt and fear in the mind is so painful and untenable. Again, we project that out. And that's the way the ego protects itself. It wants to see the guilt and fear in the mind outside of itself. Okay, so that way we can say, well, it's not me, it's, you know, it's a pandemic, it's not me, it's the politicians. And so we just project it, and as long as it's in the outer realm, we never can bring it to the place of where it can be healed through forgiveness and accepting the atonement, which is in our mind. So Jesus is just saying, are you guys ready to recognize that in every way you feel unfairly treated, everything you think has happened to you in your childhood or in your past or what might be going on right now, it's not out there. Projection makes perception. Where's that projection taking place? From our mind. So this is really big, and it's a big first, you know, move into taking accountability for everything that occurs in our life. And the course is just going to be, as we go through the workbook lessons, this is going to be a cyclical teaching that anchors and deepens even more and more. Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that. Thank you.
Well, it's a big, big subject.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And to clarify the atonement, because I can't remember if we've talked about the atonement before, but it's just to simplify it, when the atonement's mentioned in the course, it means the undoing of fear in our mind. Okay, just to clarify that.
It's the joining with the mind of God. Like,
yes, that's it.
This is the atonement. You become at one with God, and you see the utter nothingness of this with gratitude. Okay, paragraph 3, as you survey your inner world, merely let whatever thoughts cross your mind come into your awareness, each to be considered for a moment and then replaced by the next. Try not to establish any sort of hierarchy among them. Watch them come and go as dispassionately as possible. Do not dwell on any one in particular, but try to let the stream move on evenly and calmly without any special investment on your part. As you sit and quietly watch your thoughts, repeat today's idea slowly to yourself as often as you care to, but with no sense of hurry. In addition, repeat the idea for today as often as possible during the day. Remind yourself that you are making a declaration of independence in the name of your own freedom. And in your freedom lies the freedom of the world. Does that tie into my inner is the cause of the outer? Our inner freedom lies the freedom of the world. That's another big penny that he's dropping into our conscious awareness. The idea for today is a particularly useful one to use as a response to any form of temptation. It is a declaration that you will not yield to it and put yourself in voluntary bondage. What does he mean by response to any form of temptation? And again, it's the ego looking and deciding that it's seeing something, and it's attached to it by giving it all the meaning that it has, although it is meaningless because it's not from God. So that's, or the Holy Spirit, that's the temptation. To bite down on the apple, to be fearful, to look upon fearful images and make them real for ourselves, and then to get caught up in the contracted state we were talking about earlier that blocks the awareness of our right mind, or the peace where we can hear the voice for Holy Spirit. So we're just going to let everything just move through evenly, peacefully, just noticing, getting used to noticing the thoughts as they pass through your awareness without chomping down on them, without colluding or agreeing with them. I'm not a victim of this one. I'm not a victim of that. Yeah. Okay.
So can we, something that I did back then, and I don't know if others do the same thing, but I'd just like to flag it.
Yeah.
I'm not the victim of the world I see. Mm-hmm. When I first began, you know, I did do that, but I noticed there was an area that I was very reluctant to apply it to.
Yeah.
And that was the body. So
what does that tell you? Like, what is, I mean, I bet everybody here is going to say, I'm not a victim of the world I see, except for the sexual abuse that I sustained as a child, or for the, you know, the beating by the husband, or when I lost everything in the stock market, or, you know, I mean, there's going to be something that zings us with so much emotional charge.
Mm. Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, don't think too deeply into it. It's just that, you know, if there's something happening with the body, we've just got to apply this lesson to the body as well.
Yeah.
Because the body is part of the world. I mean, right? It's being perceived from the same, from the mind, the same place.
Yeah. So I think that we'd be willing to maybe scrape one story or one issue or one thing and say, okay, I'm not a victim. Maybe that's in my mind. Yeah. But this thing about having a really emotionally charged situation would protect mythical me, who needs that story to be true. And it also sets up that there's a hierarchy of illusions. It says that something in this gap is true while others are not true. And the ego would love for us to accept that. So just to watch, we're just introducing this idea that they're all the same because they all serve the first and same illusion that we're the body and therefore separate. And none of this is true, right? This is true. Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you for that conclusion.
Thanks, sis. Lesson 31, I am not the victim of the world I see. Thank you.